Right, good morning guys. Today we are going to be making fish cakes and tartare sauce, and on your recipe it's using tin tuna or salmon drained, which is great because you can make these out of the store cupboard. However, I love my fish cakes made with fresh fish, so I'm going to very quickly show you how I prepare everything for my fish cakes, and then we're going to go ahead and actually carry on with everything. So what I've got here, and I have to apologize guys, my kitchen is very bright, so I've tried to make it as dark as I can because the reflection is not great of the tin foil. But this is my favorite way of preparing fresh fish, unless I'm doing it in vegetables and I'm roasting the fish. So what I have here is I've got some lovely salmon fillets, and what I've got here is I've got just some sliced lemon, and I'm going to place the fillets over the sliced lemon. Right, before we actually carry on, I just want to point out a few things to you. I've got the little tray here that the fish was in, and I just want to point out to you, can you see all these little bubbles? It's not 100% clear, but all those little pink bubbles that you can see over here. Now that is actually the oils that are coming out of the salmon and out of the fish. Now salmon is an oily fish, and oily fish have got very essential oils in them that help us maintain a very good diet, and that is omega-3 fish oils. We should be eating 2 portions of fish a week, preferably sustainable fish, and one of those should be an oily fish. Salmon is a great choice, but mackerel is as well, and mackerel is a very inexpensive fish, so it's a great one to use as well. Right, I've got 2 portions going here because I'm actually making some salmon for a salad for later on in the week, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to parcel these up. Now this is to bring the edges together. You can do this in anything that you would like. If you've got some parchment paper, you can make it with parchment paper as well. So you bring the edges together, and then you're going to fold it over once and fold it over twice, and then the edges you are simply going to fold in and over. So you're making a little envelope like that. Don't fold it too many times, just in case you want to open it halfway through cooking. And that's it guys, that's going to go on a baking tray, and it's going to go into the oven for about 10-15 minutes depending on the size of the fish. Right, the next thing I'm going to show you is how to make your breadcrumbs. One of my absolute worst is using bought breadcrumbs. They're fine to use and they will make a lovely product, but I just think that we don't make enough things at home, and we also don't know how easy they are in reality. I almost never eat the crusts of our bread because I find them very dry, but I never throw them away. I always make breadcrumbs with them. So when I have the leftovers, I pop them into a bag, and I've got 1 bag in my freezer, and I just keep adding to it, and by the end of it I just have all the crusts of the bread, and when I need breadcrumbs I've got them ready made, and they literally take a few seconds to make. Once you take them out of the freezer, leave them to defrost for about 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 6 or 7, and you will have defrosted bread. It really doesn't take a long time at all. I pop them into this. I have got a big food processor as well, but this one does great. I also have a roll which unfortunately went a little bit hard on the side because the bag was open and I didn't notice it. So I'm going to use that as well, and I'm just going to pop that in, just break it up. I might have overestimated the size of this a little. Alright, lid on. And then just blitz it for a couple of seconds. I'm not going to talk because this is going to be noisy. And I'll show you what it looks like. And there it is guys, literally 40 seconds, and we have our own lovely breadcrumbs in which to dunk our fish cakes. And I promise you there is nothing better than fresh breadcrumbs. You can dry these in the oven and you can keep them in a sealed container, or you can take these fresh breadcrumbs and put them back in the freezer and for another day. But I never dry my breadcrumbs. I use them just as they are. I don't find it necessary to dry the breadcrumbs unless I'm going to want to store them for a long time. But really, as they are now is fine to use. Right, the next thing we're going to get ready is we're going to get our potatoes ready. Now, I don't want you to cut the potatoes too fine. They need to be quite chunky because we're making mash. Guys, the smaller you cut your potatoes, the more water that the potato is going to absorb, and you will get a very mushy, you'll get runny mash instead of a nice mash that's going to hold together and make a lovely texture for your fish cakes. So please, you don't want it too big. I've just cut that in half, and then I'm going to cut chunks, and I'm going to try and keep them roughly the same size so that they cook evenly. They are then going to go into salted water, and I'm going to cook those until they tender. And I know they're done. A lot of people use a knife, but I like using a fork, and the fork must just go through the potato and have it mustn't just break the potato in half. It must just go in nicely all the way through. And if you feel a hard bit, you know that your potato is not cooked through, so leave it for a few minutes more. Right guys, so now I've got pretty much everything ready. I have got all my ingredients ready and my potatoes are boiling away. I like to add peas in mine, so yours is, that's not on your recipe, but you're welcome to add peas into yours if you like as well. So now I'm just going to show you how to top and tail the lemon. Now when we top and tail a lemon, it's very easy guys. You're just going to snip off each end, and then you're going to slice it in half and in half again. Now, when we are preparing lemon to squeeze over something, you don't want this little bit over here because it actually prevents the lemon juice from coming out. So just flip it on its side, and at an angle, just slice off the edge so that you have an opening so that all the lemon juice can come out, and we're going to squeeze that over and serve it with our fish cakes. Right, the potatoes are done now, and all I'm going to do is add in a tablespoon of butter, margarine, anything that you have, and we're going to mash that together. Now I like mine a little bit lumpy. I like the texture of it. So this is not mash that you would be serving at the table, guys, although I like my mash like that too. And I'm just going to break it down so that the bigger clumps of potato, sorry, I smacked the camera there. Get them out of the edges. Okay, and that's all I like to do. Right, now I've got my little parcels of fish, and all I'm going to do is open it up. I don't like the skin to go in, so I'm just going to break it up, not too fine guys. I'm just going, it'll just come apart in your hands, and I'm going to add that to my mixture, and then I'll show you. Right, so I've done that now, but also guys, I'm going to add the juice that is accumulated in here. I'm going to add that as well because that adds flavor. It adds a little bit of lemon flavor, as well as the flavor of the salmon. It's absolutely delicious. Don't throw that away. And I'm not even going to waste the skins. I have a dog, and my dog, it's an absolutely brilliant treat for them because it's very healthy for them as well. And the same oils that are good for us are good for them. Right, now all I'm going to do is add some salt, some pepper. I like black pepper, so I use a lot of it, but you use how much you like, and then give it a mixture. Make sure that you've got it nice and distributed so that there's a sort of fish in every sort of portion that you're going to be making. Right, so now I've got my breadcrumbs ready in one plate, and I have the oil ready in another plate. Now guys, the way that we're doing it today is we are making a slightly healthier version. instead of frying the fish cakes, which you can absolutely do if that is something that you want to do, we are going to coat the fish cakes in oil, and then the oil will help the breadcrumbs stick. We can then place it directly onto my baking tray, which I've got ready here. You can use a parchment paper to line your tin if you would like to, but it's not really necessary. The reason we're going to do it this way is so that you use less oil. When you fry the fish cake, the bread will absorb a lot of the oil, so it's a less healthy version because you're getting more oil. You can also absolutely coat them in flour and then a little bit of egg and then into your breadcrumbs, which is a more traditional way of doing it, and it protects whatever's on the inside. So you can do that with fish, you can do it with chicken, you can do it with pretty much anything, prawns, mushrooms, and it makes a lovely crispy coating. But we're going to use oil today. So you're going to take a handful, a nice big handful, guys, and you're going to simply shape your fish cake. You do not need to be very accurate on this, and it makes a lovely little size fish cake, and you make them as big or as small as you like them. I've got a big family, so mine I like to make them about this size, and then some people get 2 or 1.5. I'm going to dip it in the oil, and I'm just going to make sure that the sides are coated. I just do that with my fingers very gently, guys, and then I'm going to lift it and I just pat it, and again I pat with the sides of my hands to get the crumbs around the edges. Make sure that it's a nice shape, and then that goes onto my baking tray, and you continue like that until you've used all your mixture. Right, and there we go. I've done that all, and I've got all my fish cakes on my tray, and I'm going to pop those into the oven now. Right, guys, while that's in the oven, that's going to be in the oven for about 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to make the tartare sauce, which is part of what we're going to serve it with. I'm going to serve mine with a salad, but you can serve yours with anything that you like, any vegetables that you like, some more peas and sweet corn, some broccoli, anything that you like, you can serve these with for a nice, balanced, healthy meal. So I'm going to pop the mayonnaise in. I am going to take 2 of the wedges that I had, and I'm going to zest those. It's actually easier to zest beforehand, but I forgot to do that, so I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to use the juice of 2 of these lemons in here, and I'll come back when I'm ready to do that. Right, so I've got the lemon juice in here and the lemon zest, and now I'm going to add and chop the other ingredients. I don't have chives, but I did have some small onions, spring onions, so I'm going to chop that up and add it in. These are cornichons, guys. Cornichons, not quite sure about that one. They're quite bitter, but they add an absolutely beautiful flavor to a tartare sauce, and it is a traditional ingredient. And then I have some cornichons. These are very sour. They are absolutely delicious also. And then I have some parsley. Now I'm going to keep some parsley back for decorating my plate as well, for decorating my fish cakes. I'm going to go ahead and chop that and add that, and then I'm going to mix it all together. Remember, when you're chopping, guys, to hold your knife correctly. Make sure that you are using a sliding motion, and please make sure that you're using claw grip and bridge hold depending on what you are chopping. So I'm using my fingers to guide my knife. And please remember that as long as your fingers are behind the knife, you can't cut your fingers. Alright, so we're going to keep going. When we get to the end, slow down a little. Oops. And that is literally all that you're going to throw away. Remember, we never cut off roots. It's our little hand hold. Going to take that down off the knife. Now, guys, if you like it finer than that, which I do, you can also use a rocking motion with your knife to chop those up. I'm going to do exactly the same with the cornichons, and I'm going to use the rocking motion with the sorry, I'm going to use exactly the same motion with the cornichons. And I think I said the wrong word earlier. These are capers, guys. I think I said cornichons as well, but these are capers, and they are absolutely delicious. I'm going to use the rocking motion with the capers, and I'm going to use a sliding motion with the cornichons. So with these, I'm just going to keep bringing them to the center. And you don't want too fine a chop, you just want them to be slightly smaller so that they disperse within the mixture. With herbs, guys, you can use the same motion. You can simply slice, sliding motion, and claw hold, or you can use your rocking motion again, and you can simply do that. All done. And I'm going to mix all that together, and I'm going to pop in some black pepper. And again, remember, I love black pepper, but you add as much as you want. A little bit of salt, not too much, guys, because the cornichons and the capers will add flavor to this. And then taste it to make sure that you've got your seasonings right. And there you have it, guys. Fish cakes with lemon wedges, homemade tartare sauce, and homemade fish cakes. Enjoy, guys. I hope that you enjoy your fish cakes. Let me know, and please do send me your pictures.